My male 35 friend Bree, female 35, just told me she loves me 4 weeks before her marriage, and I am not sure what I'm supposed to do here. I want to know if I'm doing the right thing. To give some context, I lost my wife 2 years ago. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I have not dated in the last 2 years because I have major trauma from losing my wife. I still love her a lot and don't think I am ready to move on. I invested all my time in my daughter, who looks exactly like her mother, and my work to keep my sanity for the last 2 years. I have been friends with Bree since we were in elementary school. We lived in the same neighborhood growing up and were best friends. She is an awesome person, and we were inseparable growing up. The weirdest part was we had completely different personalities. She was very outgoing and always had a lot of friends. I am a big introvert, and Bree, along with a few friends, was all I needed. Bree was a serial dater, and I don't remember any time since middle school since she was single. Bree and I never dated, though. Bree and I also went to the same college. She never had a stable boyfriend, but just jumped from one relationship to another. I, on the other hand, did not date seriously until I was in my junior year. When I met my wife, she was a freshman, and we hit it off instantly. We fell for each other and spent all our time with each other. This strained my relationship with Bree, as I would generally hang out with my wife instead of her. That was the time Bree and I slowly started drifting apart. After college, I moved to a different town for my job, and Bree and I occasionally messaged each other, but nothing beyond that. Bree attended my wedding, and that was the last time I saw her. We kept in touch, but mostly by commenting on each other's pictures or keeping each other updated on significant life events. Bree did reach out to me when my wife passed away, and we talked on a phone call. Last year, Bree and her fiancé moved to my city. I was still grieving, and both have been amazing support for me and my daughter. My daughter loves dancing, and Bree helped me enroll her in dancing and gymnastics classes, and sometimes takes her to them. I also became good friends with her fiancé, who is indeed an incredibly good man. My daughter also loves Auntie Bree, and Bree sometimes helps me babysit. Last week, Bree came to my house and asked if we could talk. Her tone sounded serious. She told me that over the last few months, she feels like she has started to develop feelings for me and is not sure anymore if she wants to go ahead with the wedding. She felt I also had started developing feelings for her. I told her that I am not ready for any relationship before I can deal with my mental health, for which I go to a therapist regularly. She tried to convince me that she loved me. We are soulmates, and she felt that we were meant to be together. However, I do not have the same feelings for her. I love her as a friend, but nothing beyond that. We were both emotional, but she said she was glad we talked about this. She left after that. Bree called me that night and told me not to talk about our conversation to anyone. I thought a lot about it and decided that I would not tell her fiancé about B and my conversation from last week. I feel it's their relationship, and I do not have the right to ruin their moment if Bree decides to go ahead with the wedding. However, I feel guilty that her fiancé does not know anything about this and is going into a marriage where Bree might not be fully ready for it. Can you guys give suggestions on what I should do in this case? Am I wrong for not telling her fiancé about our conversation? Now for a few comments. One commenter advised caution, noting that Bree might have commitment issues and could be confusing fear with real feelings. They suggested protecting my heart. Now for the 1-month update. A month ago, I wrote a post regarding my friend Bree telling me that she loved me only 4 weeks before her wedding. The last month has been crazy, and my whole world has turned upside down. Again, for context, I lost my wife 2 years ago, and we have a 5-year-old daughter. Bree and her fiancé Jason moved to our town a year ago, and we have reconnected as friends, and they have done a lot to cheer me up during this year and bring my life to normalcy. After Bree told me that she loved me, I told her that I was still not ready to move on, as I still miss my wife. She said she understood, and I did not hear from her or Jason for a few days. The guilt was ending the life of me, as I was not sure if I should tell Jason about what she told me. Thanks to everyone who commented on the post, it helped me think the situation through. I finally called Bree after a few days and asked her to meet me for lunch. I talked to her and asked her if she was going ahead with her wedding. She broke down and told me she was not sure. I told her that she should at least talk to Jason regarding her feelings and not be dishonest with him. I also assured her that I would not say anything to Jason, but I just wanted her to be happy. She said she understood and left. That night, I put my daughter to sleep and was watching TV. Around 9:30 p.m., I heard a loud knock on my door, and it was Jason. I opened the door, and he was in tears. He started yelling at me and asking me why I had to steal Bree out of all the people. I tried to calm him down, but he just kept on shouting. I was trying to get him to sit down on the bench on our porch. I told him my daughter was sleeping upstairs, but he slowly was getting more and more physical. He punched me in the face, and I was able to push him off. I told him to get out of my house, and he sat in his truck and drove away. I immediately called Bree, and she was crying and did not sound well on the phone. She told Jason that she could not marry him because she had feelings for me. I was really scared for her after the physical altercation with Jason and told her to gather some clothes and get out of the house. She did that and came to my place. I just didn't feel she was safe with Jason. I consoled her for almost 2 hours and was able to get her to sleep. The next morning, we had to call her parents to let them know about what had happened. Bree kept a brave face, but I could see how much she was hurting. Her parents asked her to take a few days off and immediately come back home, and she did take a flight in the evening to go home. Over the next 2 weeks, the wedding was called off. Bree and I were talking every day, and she was just very exhausted. She talked to Jason a few times and kept on asking her to take more time to think. However, I think Bree just wanted to get out of it and decided to just break it off with Jason. Currently, Bree is staying with us for the last 2 weeks. She still has a job here and started going back to work last week. I have talked to Bree in detail about what happened. Bree told me that Jason and her were dating on and off for the last 4 years. Jason is not very career-oriented, and Bree is very good at her job. She felt he was a nice and reliable person, but was unsure about him from the start. She felt that she was not getting any younger, and hence they decided to get married. When she heard about my wife passing away, she just felt really bad and wanted to be around me to comfort me. When she got her big promotion, which meant she could work in a corporate office, she immediately chose my city and moved here. Jason also moved here and got a new job. She never had any romantic feelings for me back then. As she started hanging out with my daughter and me, she started feeling the bond we shared when we were growing up. Except, I was the broken one, and she was taking care of me. She said that she realized that she was enjoying her time with us, more than with Jason. She realized she made a mistake with Jason, and what she wanted was right in front of her. Hence, she slowly started thinking about me in that way and finally told me about it. She knew her relationship with Jason was over the moment she confessed to me. It's a shitty situation, but I am glad that she realized that before getting married versus after. As for Jason, I feel bad for him. He is moving back to our hometown closer to his family. He is currently in their apartment and will move sometime next month. I know a lot of you would be curious if we were dating. We are not dating. I don't think I can date anyone right now, and neither should Bree. She is my friend, and I am happy that she is staying with us and plans to be here until everything is sorted out. My daughter loves having Auntie Bree around too, so that's a bonus. Plus, it's really nice to see her slowly get back to normal. Thanks again for helping me during my last post. Cheers. Now for a few comments. Starry Dust 4444 said, I'm glad you aren't becoming involved with Bree. She needs to figure herself out, and you don't need that drama. It kinda seems like she was looking for a way out of her relationship with her fiancé and might have confused that need to escape with feeling for you. Aloreus Danon commented, I think your friend Bree already had doubts and used you as a means of getting out of the relationship. Kinda messed up that she dragged you into her mess. Just make sure you are setting firm boundaries with her so that you don't get sucked into more of that drama. Then I replied, TBH, I also thought the same. I think she just needed a reason since she was never really committed to the relationship. And I was right there. We never discussed her telling me she loved me once since she moved in with us. Mace 1981 added, I know you didn't deserve to be punched. But for Jason, his friend, was the one who stole her, so I can't blame him. I'd honestly not be this supportive of her. It cannot do her any good in the long term to still be living this fantasy life with you. No matter how much you tell her, on some level, she's going to believe you'll change your mind. That 2 weeks is going to stretch on. You're not exactly proving Jason wrong from his POV, are you? You are living together. I responded, I never thought Jason was capable of punching anyone. He is a very soft-spoken guy, but that night he looked scary and out for blood. I understand what you are saying. However, she is a very old friend, and it's frankly very sad seeing what she just went through. I am sure she will slowly get back to normal and needs a friend right now on her side. Gwen Ondemil commented, what did she just go through? She jerked him around for years and made him follow the person he thought was his partner to be next to her, recently single old friend she had feelings for. She's not the victim here, because the guy she messed over in 100 ways is pissed off. I replied, my daughter really loves having her around, and I also do not want her to lose Bree. I have thought about the pros and cons, and I feel I am happy she is staying with us at this point. Now for the 9-month update. I wrote a post 9 months ago about my friend Bree, telling me that she loved me a few weeks before she was supposed to get married. For context, I lost my wife 3 years ago, and we have a 6-year-old daughter. Bree and her fiancé, Jason, moved to our town a year ago, and Bree confessed her feelings for me just weeks before her wedding. Things went south quickly, and Bree ended up breaking up with Jason and canceling the wedding. She was staying with us when I last shared an update. I think the story was picked up by some popular YouTube channels, and people have been messaging me to find out what happened afterward. I wanted to maintain our privacy, especially since many of our family members saw the video and recognized my post. They didn't know that Jason had attacked me, and I had to assure everyone that we were safe and okay. I'm feeling particularly happy this week, so I thought I would share an update. Firstly, the reason Bree moved in with us while Jason was still in town was because I had a temporary restraining order, TRO, against him. Bree also filed for one, but was denied, as he had never directly threatened her safety. She said she felt secure with us because of the TRO, and I agreed. Jason didn't cause any issues after that, though he continued texting Bree, asking her to work on their relationship. Eventually, he moved back to our hometown in February, and we haven't heard from him since. Bree got her own apartment once Jason left town, but she remained very much a part of our daily lives. I enjoyed having her around, and my daughter loves her. In April, Bree brought up the idea of us dating again. I explained that I wasn't over my wife's death and didn't want to be unfair to her because I still love my late wife deeply. Bree told me she knew she could never replace my wife, nor did she want to. She shared a beautiful analogy. She said my heart is like a big pot. It holds a lot of love for my late wife, but it also made room for more love when my daughter was born. Loving her wouldn't erase my love for my wife or daughter. It would simply mean there's more room in my heart than I realized. I took a month to think it over, talking to my mom and mother-in-law, late wife's mom, who both encouraged me to give a relationship with Bree a chance. We officially started dating in May, and it's been surprising how quickly we fell in love. I think the strong foundation of our friendship helped a lot. The last 6 months have been amazing, and I've never seen my daughter so happy. She's a big chatterbox now and insists that Bree comes to all her school events and recitals. Sometimes I feel a little jealous of their bond and even a bit left out of their little chats. The reason I'm writing this update is because I'm planning to propose to Bree this Christmas. It's not a surprise proposal. We went engagement ring shopping last weekend and finalized the ring. We also have wedding plans for next summer. I know it seems quick, but I can't imagine spending the rest of my life with anyone else. Bree deserves to officially be part of our family. My daughter is thrilled, and she and Bree are already shopping for dresses for the engagement photo shoot. Our families couldn't be happier, and we plan to get engaged at a small gathering of family and friends over Christmas weekend in our hometown. I know some people judged me for taking Bree in after she left Jason, and others judged her for leaving him at the altar. Life isn't easy, trust me, and things don't always go as planned. But I'm grateful Bree found the courage to tell me how she felt back then. Thank you all again for your support on my last post. Now for a few final comments. Electronic Pizza 272 said, "This was such a weird chain of events. Yeesh, she left a man at the altar and then made him out to be a villain while living with the man she left him at the altar for. I feel a bit bad for Jason." Now for the post. When asked why she didn't end her relationship before sharing her feelings, the original poster responded, "It was such a crazy time, 4 weeks before the wedding. I know the right thing should have been the right thing to do. However, I am also glad she did not go through with the wedding when her heart was not in the right place. I feel bad for Jason too, but I think it's better for him it happened instead of learning about it after getting married. I did initially blame myself for all the pain that I caused Bree. I know she would have been married happily to Jason if I did not exist, but through therapy, I have learned to let go of the guilt. It was something I could not control." Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "In case he said no, although she didn't listen when he said no, so." Then another commenter added, "Jason dodged a huge bullet, which is now yours to enjoy." Another commenter chimed in, "These two deserve each other," rooting for Jason. Then yet another commenter said, "I love it when two people like this get together. They take each other out of the dating pool, a roundabout favor to everyone else." Finally, a commenter warned, "Be very, very careful 4 weeks before your wedding." Am I the idiot for yelling at my daughter after she drew a picture of me and her dad holding hands? I know this will make me seem bad and all, but above all, I really just need a place to vent. I can't talk about it with my friends or family, nor do I really want to. I'm 27, and I've had a friends with benefits situation with a guy I went to college with. Let's call him Mark. We were both young and not ready for a relationship. Then I got pregnant. I told Mark about it since I wanted to discuss our options. Baby, unaliving, adoption, or even giving him custody if he wanted to. I never wanted kids, so I'd be fine with any compromise. However, Mark didn't take it well. I remember him insisting we could make it work, especially since we were both in our last year of college. He wanted to get married and for us to be a family. I refused. He got his family involved. They called and texted me all the time, even showing up at my part-time job. I know I have no one to blame but myself, but I gave up. I had too many things going on at that time, like the loss of my mother, the stress with the rest of the family, and some stuff going on with my best friend that I won't get into. I remember feeling horrible, but I relented and agreed to keep the baby, although I still refused to get married to Mark. Now we have a 5-year-old daughter together. I'm a mess. I never wanted kids, and although I'm trying, I can't feel any motherly love for her. What makes it worse is that she's genuinely a good kid. She doesn't throw many tantrums. She's always kind, and she doesn't expect much. I feel guilty for hating her. I feel bad all the time. I only get to have her on the weekends, and Mark has her every other day, but that doesn't make me feel better. She talks about wanting to see me and her dad together, but I just can't. I screamed at her once when she drew a little picture of me and Mark holding hands. I apologized after, but I still felt so guilty. I don't know what I'm doing. I just needed to write everything down and get it off my chest. I know I'm a bad mother. I know it. But I don't know how to be better. I don't even know if I want to be better. I just want to give up my parental rights, but even the thought makes me feel even worse. I'm stuck in a hell of my own making. I know I should have fought harder and probably just abort her. Damn me for being weak, I guess. Now for a few comments. One commenter said, "She's trying to be extra good so you can like her. I used to do that with my mom all the time until one day I made it up in my head that I was done with it." Another commenter added, "Yeah, that part of her story made me so sad for her daughter. That poor kid knows her mom doesn't want her and is doing everything she can to appease her. OP doesn't realize, but she already made a little codependent people pleaser. She better leave soon while she has time to forget the time before." Someone else said, "She'll definitely remember and be really deeply affected by it, unfortunately, but it may be better in the long run for her. She should really discuss it with the ex and give him time to come up with a plan to make it easier on the kid." Another commenter advised, "Giving up might make you feel worse, but when your daughter is old enough to realize that her mother doesn't want her, it'll affect the rest of her life. This is your screw-up, not hers. Just bail now and live with it. The alternative is far worse." Lastly, someone shared, "Believe me, she already knows her mom doesn't want her. I speak from experience. My mother didn't want or like me from the get-go, and no matter how much she pretended to be a loving mother, she could never hide it. I felt it from a very young age, way before I could put it into words. She needs to give up her rights ASAP before even more damage is done." Now for the 7-day update. Some things have happened, and I need to write them down, maybe even get some insight. I'll call my daughter Abby for the sake of this post. I ended up telling Mark about my desire to change the custody arrangement and maybe even removing my parental rights. Many people here agreed that it's the best choice, both for me and for Abby. He didn't take it well and actually texted me about it through the week. He insisted we could work out whatever was bothering me. We agreed a while ago that texting is okay, but calls are for emergencies only. So when he called me on Friday evening and pleaded with me to come see Abby, I agreed. This is what I really need to talk about. I've seen Abby cry before, but this was something else. She had a complete meltdown, screaming and crying once I got there. She just clung to my leg and screamed at me not to leave her. Why did I want to leave her? What did she do wrong? I cried. I was honestly horrified with how badly she reacted. Mark's mom ended up telling Abby that I was planning on leaving her and she's not going to go to my house this weekend. I had to take Abby to my place sooner than expected, and Mark actually spent the night over as well. He said he's too concerned with Abby and with me to leave us alone. I'm completely lost. Even with the way I said that I want to give up my parental rights, I just can't do it now. The image of Abby crying and pleading with me not to leave is just stuck in my mind. I feel hopeless about the entire situation. Currently, I'm laying with Abby on the couch and she's watching TV. She hasn't really left my side since yesterday. I'm used to her pointing at the TV while talking about her favorite characters of whatever cartoon is on. Right now, she's just laying by my side and staying quiet. I can hear Mark moving around in the kitchen. He called in sick to work and said he's staying here for the weekend. I have no idea what to do, and I'm sorry, but I no longer want to leave Abby. That's not an option anymore. I'd just like to ask for some suggestions about online therapy. What sites do I look for that I'm sure will help me and don't cost too much? Mark is already looking into therapists for Abby in the area, but I'd like to ask for some individual therapy I could attend online. Maybe even suggestions for child therapists online, in case Mark doesn't find anyone. Now for a few more comments. One commenter said, "Gently, and with sympathy for the conflicting tangle of emotions you find yourself in, I think you need to stop posting about this on Reddit, and I think you need to talk to a professional ASAP. You might get good advice on Reddit, but you're bound to get shitty advice too, and it is not going to be easy to discern the difference. I don't see what bearing the slings and arrows on a thread like this is really going to do for you, or more importantly, for Abby." Another commenter agreed. "I'm so glad the top comment on this is get professional help. This woman does not need to be getting any other kind of advice from Reddit. therapy for her, for the child, and for Mark while we're at it. This whole thing is a mess, and a child doesn't need to be the one to carry that. I'm not sure if people are still interested in what's going on here, but here goes. Writing everything down helps me keep track of things, and I also want to hear people's thoughts. For anyone wondering how Abby is doing, she seems to be doing okay. She's still a little clingy with me, but she's back to her happy self. We've been observing her behavior closely, and Mark decided that a therapist isn't needed. I'm not sure I agree with that, but Abby really does seem to be feeling all right. And for anyone wondering about Mark's mom, she's had no contact with Abby since what happened, though Mark has been talking with her. I've been trying to read all the comments people left on my last posts. What was written about Mark got me thinking. I haven't actually mentioned it before, since I didn't think it was important, but back in college, we were both using protection with me also being on birth control. I do believe the pregnancy was a genuine accident, though I became a bit paranoid after some of the things people wrote. Mark has dated some girls for the past few years, as far as I'm aware. We haven't had too much contact, though. We would mostly talk about Abby when we did text. Still, the past month had been more than weird for me. We've been talking more. He apologized to me a lot. I can't tell if those apologies were real or not. My best friend told me to keep Mark at arm's length, but it's been hard to do that with him coming over more often on the weekends to spend time with Abby and me. He's been inviting me to his home too, and I went a few times when Abby really begged me to. I'm trying to make sense of the situation, but it's hard. I'll be having my first therapy session tomorrow, so there's that too. Online. I guess I'm hoping for some help in the comments. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I'll try to answer any questions people might have for me. I know this post is probably kind of a mess. Now, for a few comments. A commenter said, Mark is wrong. All three of you need therapy, but poor Abby especially needs therapy. Just because a child is resilient does not mean trauma won't affect them. Get that child in therapy. Another commenter agreed. 100% agree with this. That child really needs to see a therapist. Just because she is acting happy now does not mean she did not internalize the trauma of all that has happened to her. Please, OP, make an appointment as soon as possible to minimize the long-term damage. Then someone added, I can't comprehend how you let other people decide how you live your life to the extent you are doing it. It's a kid, your life, her life. This is extremely messed up and you all need therapy ASAP. Find out what you want and stand your ground. My God, if you just let people walk over you and don't start making decisions in a few years, you will be old, unhappy, and full of regrets. In response, OP said, I've come to the realization that it's pretty much always been a huge problem that I have. For now, I'm just trying to figure things out. Another commenter expressed, I'm glad things are better, but do not start a relationship with Mark for at least the next while. Abby needs some stability and reassurance, and the focus to be on her. Best of luck. Please give that child the words of affirmation she needs. OP replied, I don't want a relationship with Mark. I feel uncomfortable around him, and I've been trying to set some boundaries between us for the past few weeks, but he keeps crossing them by inviting himself into my home. And thank you for the kind words. I'm trying to check up on Abby as much as I can. Then another commenter shared, wow, I think we all know where this is going. Wedding bells, anyone? Seriously though, my snarky attitude aside, if this is real, I don't understand your sudden 180. How easily swayed are you? Have you ever actually done anything involving this kid that you want to do? You had her even though you didn't want to because other people convinced you, and now you've stayed when you wanted to go because Abby had a meltdown, even though deep down you know it's not in your best interest. You're also basically living with the guy you didn't want to be with because he insists he needs to be there to make sure Abby is good. Like, why are you such a pushover? And honestly, why does it make me so angry? I just find your wishy-washy attitude so annoying. Grow a backbone and stop having your life dictated by everyone but yourself. They added, sorry for being such a beach. I think in the spirit of total honesty, I need to confess I really don't like children and have never wanted them, so I just don't understand how you can change your mind after feeling that way for so long. OP responded, it's actually some of the harsher comments that I got that made me think back on some things. I won't go into details as to why, but I've always been a pushover. I'm trying to set boundaries, but everyone keeps crossing them, and I don't have the energy to deal with all of that most of the time. It doesn't excuse me, but I'm hoping that therapy might help me become a bit better. And about changing my mind, I can't really explain it. It's hard, and I don't feel entirely comfortable, but I don't want to leave Abby behind. I can't put my feelings about it into words. Am I the idiot for falling for my co-parent and refusing to let her move out? I met Mila about 4 years ago at a bar. It was a mutual friend's birthday, and we were both fresh out of long-term relationships. Hers was 5 years, mine was 4. After a lot of drinking, we awkwardly woke up naked on the birthday guy's couch. Despite the awkwardness, we exchanged numbers and went our separate ways. Fast forward 3 months, Mila texted me asking to grab coffee. When I arrived, she looked like she'd been crying. She told me she was pregnant, and I was the only person she'd been with. A DNA test confirmed it was mine. Mila moved in with me because she was sharing a room with a roommate. The guest room became hers, and my office became Andy's room, our baby boy. Having a child wasn't in my plans, but since Andy came along, my life's been better. Mila and I never had a romantic relationship, except for one kiss after Andy was born. We get along well, I support them, and I'm paying for Mila's grad school. We split the chores, and I'm always there for whatever she needs. As Andy's third birthday approaches, Mila asked if I wanted her to move out. She suggested we could co-parent separately, and I could even get a girlfriend if I wanted to. I just said no and went to my room. The truth is, I love her. I'm terrified of ruining everything between us as parents and friends by telling her how I feel. Now for the update. I finally talked to Mila. I left work early, picked up Andy, and dropped him off at my mom's. I bought flowers, cleaned the house, and texted Mila to come home because we needed to talk. When she arrived, she was worried about Andy, but I reassured her he was fine. I gave her the bouquet and started the conversation. I told her how I've been scared of ruining things and how it hurt when she asked if I wanted her to leave. She admitted she felt like a burden and blamed herself for ruining my life with the pregnancy. I quickly reassured her that since Andy and Mila came into my life, everything's been better. She also said she likes me too and has felt that way since she was pregnant. She was embarrassed to say anything because she didn't feel comfortable in her body anymore. But to me, she's the most beautiful woman on the planet. She admitted she'd get jealous when I went on dates, even though we weren't a thing. I would be jealous too if she dated. We talked for a long time, even about deeper, personal stuff. By the end of the night, we went to a small restaurant for dinner. We chatted about music, movies, and life. I got a few kisses in the car, which was cute. We watched a horror movie, and she fell asleep cuddling me. It was a day full of wins.